Scarlett Blade. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Silent Night, Memoirs of a Royal Guard. After the night on the balcony, things between Princess and Luna and I were different. I wasn't a backdrop any longer, at least not when the two of us were alone. When we weren't an official, semi-official, or casual affair, she would talk to me. I should clarify what I mean by talk to me. To say Princess Luna didn't have a lot of friends would be putting it kindly. At the time, she pretty much had Princess Celestia and a hand-mare or two. Outside of that, every pony else was all business. That left a lot of time for her to be alone. At least as alone as a very important pony can be, which meant being alone with a guard or two. During my shift, she would talk to me. I would listen and be quiet unless she asked me something specifically, which mercifully she very rarely did. I think having a confidant gave her peace. She knew I would never repeat anything she said because I was obligated not to. Also, I'm pretty sure she got the impression that I'm not big on talking in general. I let my actions speak for me, and since I'm not good at interpretive dance, her secrets were safe with me. Princess Luna spent a lot of time writing. Even during her free time, her work seemed endless, and I wondered if she ever took a moment for herself. There were documents in her office, in her chambers, in her game room, and everywhere in between. It made me appreciate that my job was to stand there quietly. One particular evening, she paced back and forth in front of her desk with 3 pieces of parchment floating in front of her, levitated by alicorn magic. She looked at them, and then at me. That look always meant I was no longer a prop and was about to be talked at. "Silent Night," she said. "Princess?" I replied immediately. It seemed I was wrong. This would be talking to and not at. I had somewhat become accustomed to being spoken to by that point. One of the parchments glided down to the table and was replaced by a quill. She scribed something and then asked, "Thou went to school in Canterlot, did thou not?" Thanks, Celestia, an easy question with a straight answer. "Yes, Princess." "Why didn't thou attend school in Cloudsdale, close to thy family?" she asked, scribbling something else. Was she writing what I said down? "My father and I would have a better chance of being accepted into the Royal Guard if I was already in Canterlot and familiar with its ponies. It would be an advantage," I explained. "Is that so?" she asked with a heavy, very loaded question. "Why, it is so my father said that. Yes, was it true? Possibly. I was now, in fact, a house guard. How could I know for sure?" "So he had, Princess. Whether he was right or not, I can't know. I am a house guard, however, and assigned to a princess. There must have been some wisdom in his mindset." Once more her quill scribbled on the parchment. Was she working on holding a conversation, or was she taking notes? It was quite unnerving. "Thou was not frightened to come to Canterlot as little older than a colt?" she asked. In that moment I really thought the whole speak when spoken to part of my upbringing was going to be the death of me. "Terrified, Princess. It was right before I started secondary school. I lived alone in a tiny apartment, but I received the best education my parents could afford." Princess Luna let a second parchment glide to her desk before levitating another one. "Thy father's counsel is most wise. He was a royal guard as well, was he not?" Finally, a change of topic. I could talk about my dad all day. He was a hero. Well, a hero to me anyway. "Yes, Princess, he was indeed. He served Canterlot well until he took an arrow to the knee in battle," I explained, but as I did so the princess laughed, which was rather confusing. "Princess?" "Surely thou jests," she said, smiling again. "I get it now. But then I had no idea. No, Princess, he was wounded in the knee by an arrow. Is that humorous?" I was pushing a line, but I take my father very seriously. The princess looked at me and shook her head. Our apologies. It is not humorous. It is just the situation reminds us of something we saw once in a story. Perhaps thou hast not seen such. Someone wrote a story about my father being hit in the knee with an arrow. Nonsense. I shook my head and said, My apologies, Princess. I'm unfamiliar with that of which you speak. Princess Luna took a bit sheepish before saying, Then this is not funny at all. After that, she quickly went back to her duties while I tried to work out what had just happened. Well then, sorry for the short chapter. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. Peace off.